The High Court on the 30th of April 2026 sentenced Christopher Okello Onyum to death after finding beyond reasonable doubt that he, with malice aforethought, caused the death of 4 toddlers at the Gaba Early Childhood Center. Okello was informed of his right to appeal within 14 days after the date of judgment. This meant that Christopher Okello Onyum had up to 14th May 2026 to file an appeal. I have learned that Christopher Onyum has filed one. But what happens if a convict decided not to file an appeal?
The state must appeal for him.
Section 99 subsection 1 of the Trial Indictments Act states that the sentence of death shall be carried out by hanging.
We are always ready, more than ready.
Under Section 102 subsection 2 of the same Act, if an appeal is preferred and the sentence upheld by the Court of Appeal, the High Court forwards to the Minister a copy of the judgment and the record of the proceedings. The Minister then communicates to the High Court the decision of the President regarding the exercise of the prerogative of mercy. The Court subsequently records and gives effect to that decision. Under subsection 3, the President may issue a death warrant, commute the sentence, or grant a pardon under his or her hand and the public seal.
In 72 hours, when the letter comes, the OC informs the ones who are affected. They are put in a separate wing, they are cancelled, and explain what they could do, what they want to do, and prepare them for the time.
Uganda Prison spokesperson, Senior Commissioner of Prisons, Frank Baine, explains that this legal process is important in ensuring justice, citing an incident where a convict was in prison on death sentence for a crime he did not commit.
Who it was alleged he killed his friend, kidnapped and killed his friend, but they never saw the body. After 17 years in prison, before hanging, then the other one resurfaced. All the courts had finished their part. It was only waiting for the prerogative of mercy. That was before the Chigura case. And the other man came up. It took another 1.5 years for court to be convinced to release him. But
Okello Onyum becomes the 93rd inmate on death row, comprising 91 men and 2 women. Within the prison system, this category is identified by a distinct mode of dress.
We have different types of uniforms. The main uniform is the yellow one with the black strips. And most of these uniforms are put because of visibility. You can see somebody at a longer distance than the usual. So the yellow uniform is the mainly used uniform. But when the court started sentencing people long term, and those ones who are dangerous like escapees, then that's how we introduced the American orange uniform for quick identification, to know that there's something special about this person, because somebody could be serving 50 years and the people are asking to go and work. Then you say, you join them. As soon as he reaches out, he runs away from you. So that is to alert whoever is working that these are very sensitive people in the American orange. For the condemned prisoners or those sentenced to death, those ones put on white.
Baine explains that a death sentence can be inverted depending on circumstances.
If the prerogative of committee does not do anything within that time, and 3 years expire according to the 2019 Act, then the sentence will be commuted into life sentence, equivalent to 50 years in prison. That's what awaits Okello.
If a condemned prisoner dies before execution, the body is released to relatives for burial.
But the one who has been hanged remains government property, and it is buried by OC and the team. And then the reports are given out on what has happened, so that there is no doubt for your people to wonder whether you died or you didn't die.
Now, research cited by the United Nations and the National Research Council finds no conclusive evidence that the death penalty deters crime, while Amnesty International warns that it carries the risk of irreversible miscarriage.
So, judicial error is a big issue. But coupled with that is the fact that sometimes the criminal process is not effective. It's not well financed, and sometimes it is prone to error. And with that, we do not want anyone to suffer death who has not committed a crime.
Dr. Livingstone Sewanyana is the founder of Human Rights Initiative and tells me that death is not a punishment because several countries are abolishing this sentence.
It has been proven through research and practice that's not an effective punishment. That is very, very important, because those who commit those crimes often have reasons why they do commit them. And unless you address the root cause, you cannot actually address the challenge that it causes. The thinking from the human rights perspective is that life imprisonment in itself is not a soft option. It is an effective punishment. And to prove that, following the Supreme Court ruling in Susan Chigula, which we initiated with the support of Katena and Sempewa company advocates, we went to Luzira and addressed the prisoners on death row. And we conveyed to them that following the ruling, no one would be executed after 3 years. Apparently, what is interesting, the prisoners on death row were unanimous that they don't want life imprisonment, meaning that it is more effective and is a more meaningful punishment than death.
Okello has rights during the litigation process and also has rights while in prison. But what about the rights of the victims of crime?
In other countries, there is a proposal for what is called the Victims' Trust Fund, that the state has to compensate the victims for the loss of their loved ones because the state failed to protect. So those could be some of the rights, right to compensation for the victim.
Since 1927, when Upper Prison was established, several executions by hanging have been carried out.
I think over 1,000 people have been hanged. 1999 is when the last process was done. 29 people were hanged.
In Luzira, including Haji Sevirumbi. On the very same night that that execution took place, we had bombs going up in Indeba, which means that those who commit such crimes are not in any way interested in what happens inside the prison. So as a matter of fact, when you have a moratorium on executions, or when you put more money and invest more in preventing crime, you realize that you have a better scorecard. And as such, it has also been proven that countries that have abolished the death penalty and have invested more in ensuring better governance, the crime rate is going down.
The 92 inmates currently in death row remain at the mercy of the head of state. Whether the 93rd convict, Okello Onyum, will benefit from the president's prerogative of mercy remains to be seen.
Those are political actions. The reasoning behind that is slightly different, because essentially those who grant prerogative of mercy, they believe in reconciliation and no longer believe in an eye for an eye.
Uganda Prisons currently operates with 14,852 staff, about 38% of its approved establishment, and holds 79,834 inmates, exceeding the capacity by over 300%.